All right, good afternoon to all. You've tuned into another weekly episode of What's Going On at UVISOA. That's the University of the Virgin Islands School of Agriculture. And we do this weekly update to share with you different things that are happening amongst the areas of Agriculture Experiment Station, Cooperative Extension Service, and our new academic programs. So our guest today, who will introduce himself in one moment, is going to be speaking to us also about the academic programs, but as well as some other things that he does with the Cooperative Extension Service Office. So I'm DaraMonifah Cooper, your communication specialist in the areas of technology, distance and online learning. And co-hosting, we have
my name is Leandra Kent. I'm the public relations specialist / editor for the School of Agriculture.
Yes. So on today's program, we're going to be sharing with you, like I said, about our guest, who is Dale Morton, and he will share a little bit more about who he is and what he does. We'll also mention some publications and different things that are happening. There's pesticide training going on. Actually, I think, Dale, you may know more about that than we do with Dr. Amy Dreves. And a couple other things. There's a student position that's available through the Agriculture Experiment Station and EPSCoR, and some other things that we'll share with you. We also have a special highlight. We're going to share one video. We have a couple, but we have one video that we're going to share from alumni who graduated at CVI with a degree in agriculture. So Dale will speak more about that as we lead into that video later on. So without further ado, let's go ahead and let Mr. Morton introduce himself for those who may not know him, and I'm not sure who that is, but he will go ahead and let you know for those who may not know everything in terms of what he does for the School of Agriculture's Cooperative Extension Service Office. Good afternoon, welcome.
Good afternoon, I'm Dale Morton. I'm from St. Kitts Nevis, and I've been with Extension Service for the past 37 years and months. And I started actually even before that, because for like about 2 years, I worked as a student worker in Extension Service. And whenever I get an opportunity to speak to any of the students, like we had this week, we had the students doing the alternative spring break, and they're here with us. I always share with them that story, because I tell them, if you go on a job and you might be just doing work, study or whatever, do it to the best of your ability, because you never know where it will land. Like I said, I worked here as a student worker, and when time was coming for me to graduate, my advisor, Dr. William McQueen, he asked me what I was going to do, and especially since he knew I had just had a newborn in the March and I was graduating in the May, he said, well, they're looking for somebody right down there where you're working. So I told him, well, I wasn't a permanent resident, I was on a student visa and everything, and he advised me what to do. And so I ended up getting the job on practical training for the first 2 years. Then I worked for 5 years on a professional visa, and then since that time I've been here. And so, like I said, 37 years have come and gone. When I started first, I was the person who was running the soil, water, and leaf sampling lab. We did the analysis of soil for nutrients that plants needed to grow properly, and advise the farmers what to do and so forth. When Hurricane Marilyn came, that took out the lab completely, because we lost some of the windows in the lab, and the salt water blew in and destroyed the atomic absorption spectrophotometer, which was the heartbeat of the lab. That was the machine that we had to run all the samples once we did all the mixtures and so with to do the analysis. And so the director at the time felt as though the expense of that new machine was too much, and he said he thinks we need to move in a different direction. And so they were doing a lot of grants at the time, and there were grants and money in the water quality program. I then got more into the water quality aspect of Extension, and that's where I've been since. So I've been in the water quality and agriculture program and the natural resources program, and all of the things I know in those fields I have learned really on the job. I came with a biology degree, but I am well versed in practically everything. I have already gone through the pesticide training workshops. I was already a certified pesticide applicator, even though I never applied any pesticide for anybody and so forth. And so I have been really and truly well schooled in extension service. And now one of the main things that people in the community know me for, and I get stopped and questioned all sorts of hours. The highlight was one morning, 3:30 in the morning, I'm coming from St. John Carnival event. I'm coming over on the boat with my wife, and a young man stopped me to ask me about some stuff he heard on the radio about the healthy homes. And so I had to stop and explain to him what it was. So the Healthy Homes program, like I said, is the one aspect of my work that I'm most proud of. Because what we used to do, we used to run all of the information from the National Healthy Homes program, which is a program between HUD, USDA, and CDC, and so forth, which helps to guide persons to do a self-analysis. What do you do in your home? What effect will be, and how to mitigate and handle it in a safer, more environmentally friendly manner. And at that time, Extension had a lot more money, so we used to run a lot more trips and conferences. And one time I went up to Washington for a meeting, and on the side I spoke to the director, the head man at USDA, about the books that I had to be giving out down here. And I told him I was not pleased with the book because it had all kinds of images that did not represent us. It had content that we had no relation to, talking about ferrets and crawl space and so forth, things that I did not know because I had never lived in a temperate place and so forth. And a whole chapter on radon, issue that we have no knowledge of here, and so forth. So, I mean, we don't have any experience with radon here. So I told him we need to, and at that time I learned they had done a book specifically for Alaska, and I think one for the Native Americans and so forth. So I told him it's time for us to get one for the Caribbean. And he said, what? That sounds like a good idea. I came back, I told my director, he said, Dale, how you could go up there and tell the people that? I said, Mr. Garcia, I told them that the book doesn't relate to us. And I think we need our own book. And I was so pleased with about 2 years or 3 years later, we actually had our own book. And they gave us a lot of leeway. And I would like to publicly thank Dara Cooper, because she was one who was able to do a lot of, responsible for a lot of the graphics, change the artwork into images that look more like us. Because honestly speaking, there were no images in the book that represented Black people. And so those kind of things bothered me with the whole book. And so now we have our quote unquote new book. And we just did an actual revision that it's right now, it's only in digital form that just came out like last month. And again, I had the same issue with them because we did 4 publications. We spent about two years working on it. And when they sent me what was they thought was the final draft, I said, but I thought I sent you images to replace those images that I told you should be changed. And they didn't remember, and first they were saying about poor quality and so forth. I said, no, they weren't poor quality. I sent the full-size images and so forth. And when they went back and looked at them and they saw them, they changed them, because what I did was the images that they had, which had white people in it, I got staff members and I got my great nephew, I got my niece to get my great nephew to pose doing the same thing what they had a little toddler doing in the picture and so forth. So we send those pictures. So finally we got it changed, and I'm very, very pleased with the end result now. That, like I said, right now is just digital. I would not want to share it yet because the gentleman who was spearheading it, Dr. Goldsmith, he's supposed to be doing a presentation on it in the next month and so forth. So I will wait until it is shared by them, and then I will start sharing it here locally. But
Okay, that was going to be my next question, because I know we have I don't know how many we have left of the printed ones, but on our website, we have the link that they have to the older one. So I was wondering if we needed to switch that out, but we'll keep that.
No, no, it wouldn't be a switch out, because these 4 new publications are more geared towards specifically after traumatic storm or flood event, or they even put in like fire events, because they copied what they had nationally, and we are trying to make one for the Virgin Islands. And they did a separate one this time for Puerto Rico. So the images and the homes and everything are of the Virgin Islands.
Excellent.
The damage and so forth, pictures of damages from the hurricane and so forth. So that one is more specifically, like I said, but the other one that you call old is general purpose healthy home stuff. And we have quite a lot of the actual printed copies.
Okay.
And as you know, they're given out free. And my intention is to hold a virtual healthy home workshop on the 14th of April.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that for everybody to attend?
Anybody. You and I gonna have to work out that or how we're gonna do it, but
Okay.
It will be done virtually, because they insist. Even I to be honest, I really don't like the virtual thing. I like to do things live, because I like the interaction of the public, and I like when they ask questions and so forth during the presentation and so forth, so I could answer the particular questions right there before we go on to something else. And if I knew we're gonna be getting to it later on, I tell them that we'll just hold on, we're gonna get to that. But it is something that over the last year, because of the pandemic, I only got to do the presentation one time, and that was to a group of retirees who came to our office to do what they call farm to table workshop. And so since I was like the person in the office who did the arranging of the workshop, I said, well, I can't arrange for everybody else to be profiled and shine, and my own little program, I don't do anything and get any credit for it. So I made sure I put in a little bit of the healthy home stuff in it. So,
which is very needed, because especially now people are looking for different products to use at home and things like that with COVID and even all of those things. So it's still it's needed all year round.
It's needed all year round. And one of the key things in that too is the HEPA filters for air conditioned units, and the need to properly service your air conditioned units and change the filters at the recommended intervals. And those things are very, very important. All the problems that you had in the schools in the past with mold in the classroom and so forth, lots of times it's because the air conditions weren't maintained properly. And so you get spores developed in the ducts, and they get moved around in the vents and so forth of the ducts, and get emitted out of the vents in the air-conditioned building, and you end up with more and more problems.
Yeah, definitely. Understood. Well,
yes. So now we hear you have a new role as an SOA recruiter. What does that entail? Can you tell us more about that?
Okay. Once Dr. Adamo came on board as the new Dean of the School of Agriculture, because I was here during the entire life of the previous agricultural program, which was housed under the Division of Maths and Science. I spoke at length with him, telling him about the reason why the program went dormant. And the main reason why the program went dormant, we had the program for 11 years. And we had the grand total, would you believe it or not? 11 years we had the program. The grand total of 24 students who enrolled in the program, who declared themselves a major in the program. And out of those 24 people enrolled. Out of those 24, 8 graduated with the associates over the 11 years. And so for some of those years, no student, 0 students, 2 students, or and when it was like 2 students, the classes got cancelled, because from the time they started the intro to agriculture class and only 2 students register, they didn't teach the class. And so some of the students who had an interest then dropped out or did another major. And so eventually in 1986, when Dr. Ken was president, they opted to make the program dormant. And it was justified, because if no students are coming, then you have to put it to rest, because you're wasting time having faculty available when they don't have any students to teach. And so I promised him that I will work along with him to make sure that this program has students. And I did that with the knowledge that I have connections. And I know people in high places in almost every one of these island territories. And so I expressed an interest of working along with him and the faculty to recruit students for the program. And I was so pleased when it actually came to pass that I was given those additional responsibilities. And so now, one of my tasks is to try and recruit students for the program. What has made it a little difficult right now is that, one, we only have 2 associate programs approved. And we cannot bring any foreign student in to do a certificate course. Students who are from a different country or different territory have to apply for a student visa in order to come to university. And like I said, you cannot come on a certificate. So how I've been trying to sell the certificate program as I move around in the community is to teachers who teach agricultural programs in their schools, farmers, and even yesterday with the students who are here volunteering for the spring break, I told them about the program, and I suggested to them that even though they might be working on another degree, they can consider adding the certificate in agriculture program, because it doesn't have any general ed requirements. It just has the core courses for them to get a little bit of information in the 2 programs, agricultural business and agritourism. And so when they finish and they graduate, they could graduate with a Bachelor of Science in Chemistry and a certificate in agricultural business and so forth. And I've been selling the agricultural business to some of the farmers. I know it is a hard sell, especially to get the farmers to give up time to talk about their coming to college. But I'm hoping that the younger ones and so forth will take it up. Yesterday, I had the fortunate thing to experience, to follow up with a lady whose home we visited earlier in the year. And she indicated an interest once she heard that we have the agricultural business certificate. And she already has her degree and everything for years and years. But once she learned that, she expressed an interest. Now, one of the other things too is that the dean has shared with me to try and reach those people who have not declared a major. And so within the next week or two, I am going to be targeting those persons. Our committee, we have a recruitment committee of about 8 persons. We are going to try and come up with a little flyer, which we can send out to those students who have not declared a major and see if they might be interested in doing the certificate course, and also let them know about what is proposed. Because, and my emphasis as the recruiter, I'm telling the truth, would be to to indicate the programs which are proposed for next fall, because those are the closest. I don't feel comfortable trying to sell something 2 years and 3 years out. So the proposed degrees that should be coming online in fall are the Associate of Applied Sciences in Animal Science, Agricultural Business, Cannabis Biotechnology, Horticulture, General Agriculture, Regulatory Science, and Cannabis Social Science. So those are the proposed associate degrees that once they go through the faculty approval and it's presented to the board, those courses or those degrees should then be listed in the UVI program come fall. So, but right now I am pushing and encouraging students to come and take advantage of the certificate programs in agricultural business and agritourism. And one may ask, what will I do with this certificate? Well, with the certificate in agricultural business, you will be able to run your agricultural activity in a more business-like manner. A lot of the farmers here in St. Thomas, particularly I can speak about. I know it also applies in St. Croix, but I can speak with confidence about St. Thomas. A lot of them do not keep proper records. So if you do your certificate in agricultural business, you may then offer your services to some of those farmers who don't see the need or the hassle to really run their business like a real business. And so to me, that's a potential job opportunity. Now, in terms of recruiting, what I have done is, like I told you, 8 persons graduated. I've been able to speak at length with 6 of the 8, and I have received video clips from 2 of them so far, even though another 4 have promised. And I like to highlight the success of those 8 students who graduate, because out of those 8 students who graduate, we have 2 of them who have PhDs at present. We have 2 of them who were, well, one was the Assistant Commissioner of Agriculture after spending a total of 33 years at the Department of Agriculture in the person of Mr. Errol Chichester, and the present Assistant Commissioner, Diane Collingwood. She also is a graduate of the CBI Associates in Agriculture program. Now, in her case, she went away and was working in Florida for over 20-something years before she came back to this job. So when I promote the program and people ask me what job I'm going to get, I tell them you don't have to necessarily get a job here. You can get a job somewhere else and just keep your eyes open for when jobs become available if you really want to come back here. Now, One of the other things that I've been asked to do is to market the fact that UVI has the quote unquote free tuition program for those students who graduated from any high school in the territory. And what is not really shared or what is not known commonly is, one, you have to have a 2.5 in order to begin in it from high school. You have to maintain the 2.5. And if you are in it for the 4 years where you got the tuition waiver, when you get it, you have to sign certain documents, which then commits you to working in the Virgin Islands, not for the government, but working in the Virgin Islands for 3 years in beginning, I think, 5 years after, by the 5th year after you graduate. Otherwise, you have to refund the money that was spent on you. So when I market it, I like to tell the people that aspect, because I don't want anybody to say I fooled them off and tell them, well, you know, it was a totally free thing. I try to give them the complete picture, because every time I see it marketed, it sounds as though like it's totally free, and I know otherwise. So I am not going to market it like that. I am going to market it in my truthful way, because when they're finished, they're going to say Dale said, and I want my word to be a truthful word.
Understood. And of those, and that's, I think, one of the great things about those of us who work within the School of Agriculture and Cooperative Extension Service and AES as well, very, very directly community oriented as one of the outreach agencies of the university. And so we know how to transform the language into common speak, so that we can speak to the people who we're trying to reach in a way that they can understand, and then bring them up to the university, so that they can build on their professional skills and different things like that. So I know you mentioned, and from those who have already graduated from the university, well, was CVI at the time, so the college, within the agriculture program, we have a video with Philip Neltrop. If you could just speak to who he is and introduce him, and we'll put that video right on.
Okay, Philip Neltrop, he is a young man who graduated in the last batch of programs. He comes from a family that is several generations back here in the Virgin Islands community. His father had a electronics store. He worked in it. He did all the repairing of televisions when televisions used to be repaired and so forth. But he went on, and he's a teacher at the All Saints School, where he basically teaches science. But he has always been promoting his students to try to get them into fields of agriculture. And he is one of those persons who I am going to be using to help in terms of trying to send students here to UVI. And I use the term send because a lot of students don't really see agriculture as a true scientific benefit. Like if they graduate with it, they always ask, why gonna do with that? And so it's normally parents have to push them. The former commissioner, Carlos Robles, he said when he told his mother that he wanted to go and study agriculture, how a lot of people were like against him for doing that, you know? But so some people might need a little nudging, but like Philip Neltrop, he's passionate about it. And I love the way how he did his video, and what he did was really to emphasize the value, the things that really remained with him up to now. Like I said, he graduated in 1986, so you know how long that is. And he remembers all of the things that I remember. I graduated in 1983, so before him. And he remembered all the benefits of the strong foundation he got there at CBI. The small classes, the fact that you're made to feel like a real human being and people really caring for you and so forth. And so maybe Dawa, you could play the video clip, and then after that we can speak about other things.
All right, so this is Philip Neltrop, as Mr. Morton mentioned. And just briefly before I press play, we want to remind you all that you're tuned into what's going on at UVISOA, which is the University of the Virgin Islands School of Agriculture's weekly update, which we do here on our Facebook page, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. And there's some other things that you can check out on our blog, including the pesticide training that's going on right now. There's a student job that we're gonna bring on David Hensley next week to speak about, but a job is available for a student on the Albert A. Sheen campus on St. Croix. And then of course, we always have our publications available at our UVI bookstores. So you could learn more about that by visiting our website, ces.uvi.edu. So now here is Philip Neltrop, graduate of one of the agriculture programs from here, formerly CVI, College of the Virgin Islands, now University of the Virgin Islands.
Hello and greetings to all. I'm making a short video clip to tell you about my experiences when I went to CVI. My name is Philip Neltrop. I graduated from CVI in agriculture in 1986. I believe that was the last class to graduate in agriculture since my experiences there were very great. I had a very good learning experience, and I'll give you some of my recollections. The hands-on experiences were excellent. We learned about agronomy. We went into the extension service. We learned how to use the soil testing equipment, and we learned about, good soils and bad soils of the Virgin Islands. We also did a lot of horticultural techniques. We did grafting, we did air layering, we did cuttings, and we had to do it actually, so it was great. We had a lot of good hands-on experience with that. It was excellent. We also did pest application. I got my pest applicator's license through the CVI program. So that was a great thing also. Another great thing that I could recollect that I really love about the program when I graduated was we took a lot of field trips. We went to beekeepers here in St. Thomas. We went to St. Croix. We visited the farm with the cows. We saw how the milk was produced and pasteurized. We went to the goat farm. I saw how they made cheese, and we tasted the milk. It was a great experience. We also, visited many farms. I could recollect, that's about it, I think so. And the program was great. So my last project that I did was also a great experience. I had to join with a farmer and record the data and take all the analysis about his business and present to him a production. So these are a few of my great experiences. My only one thing that I regret was not being able to go on to the Bachelor's of Arts. Thank you very much for listening to me. My name is Philip Neltrop.
But now, if he wants to, he can come back.
Well, I think the credits will be too old.
He said he think he'll be too old.
No, the credits.
Oh,
because I think they only value the credits for 10 years prior.
Okay. A shame.
But
You never know. He may be able to come and assist with obviously with the recruitment efforts, because he can show how he was able to use it, but helping others who want to come in. So that was excellent to be able to see a product. And then you spoke about some of the other products with our current Deputy Commissioner of Agriculture. and also the previous one. So we know that people were able to learn from the program and then go out and actually use it. And that's very good in terms of visibility and seeing that. But
And I would just like to say, remember I told you that there were 2 others who went on to do their PhD.
yes.
One, his PhD is not in agriculture, which is Diane Collingwood's brother, Charles Collingwood.
Okay.
So he's Dr. Charles Collingwood. He works in Arizona in the school system. And the other one is Dr. Dorian Lafont. And he works at the USDA in Washington. And he's responsible for the grading and quality and so forth of foods. He has a very, very senior position, and he has held it for quite a long time. He is from Dominica, and like I say, he came to CBI, he did well, and he went on further, keep progressing. And both he and his wife are from CBI, and both of them have really done very well in terms of their academic achievements. I think she's a nurse practitioner and so forth. And now they have adult children and everything, but it is these kind of people whose experience in the program I want to highlight and let people see the value of CBI. I tell people all the time, CBI is a diamond in this community, and it has touched so many territories here throughout. The Prime Minister in St. Martin. I don't think we do enough to promote the significant contributions that CBI has made in people's lives. The Prime Minister of St. Martin, Silvera, a CBI product. In the BBI, he didn't graduate from CBI, but Andrew Foy right now, he came to CBI. And these people I know personally. The junior minister health in Nevis, CBI graduate, and so forth. The premier of Anguilla, Dr. I'm forgetting his name right now, but a gentleman who graduated with a biology degree from in his case UVI. But you know, we need to push these kind of things and see the value. I mean, I heard, you know, a lot of people to just give sell little things, but they don't realize the major contribution that CBI has made in this Caribbean community and further afield as well. Because like I said, Dorian is international. He is on these groups that work throughout Europe, Africa, the Caribbean, and everything. So I really want to highlight these things and let people know. And as I recruit, like I tell people, yes, I'll be recruiting for the School of Agriculture, but I'm always recruiting for UVI.
Definitely. And we all, those of us that know your commitment to UVI, know that you do that in your sleep. So we're going to have to bring you back on to continue, obviously, because there's so much more. There's so much more. If you were to sit down and think about all of these things and make a list, you would never stop. So we understand that, and we definitely want to let you know we appreciate all that you've done. There's so many unwritten things that aren't in your job description that you're doing. So those of us that know appreciate that. So if people can learn from you in any of these areas that you are officially contracted for, whether it's agriculture in general, pest problems, the proper pruning practices, types of plants to grow in the areas that they have available to them at their homes, because we know we don't need large spaces to be able to do something, container gardening, as well as information on erosion, sediment control, native plants, the types of vegetation naturally found in our environment, as well as when the Caribbean, the updated versions and parts of the Caribbean Healthy Homes publications come out. We definitely want to bring you on again when those come out, so people can learn from them. And also, I'm sure people are going to want to schedule workshops when they find out more about that too. And of course, as well, with our School of Agriculture's recruitment, which right now is vital. And I think it's one of our top priorities right now with the School of Agriculture. And so as much as we can focus on getting the word out about what we do within all parts of the School of Agriculture, including the academic programming, we know that yourself and the recruitment committee are vital in being able to help form what we should be sharing out there with people. So
And
how
I would
do
like
people
to,
reach you?
okay. People can reach me at 693-1086. I am not afraid to give out my personal cell, 344-9959. So they can reach me basically anytime until like 10 o'clock in the night. But I would like to let people know that the School of Agriculture is serious. We already have 2 full-time faculty members in the person of Dr. Annette James, who is an associate professor of soil and plant science. And we also have Dr. Subrajit Saha, who is an associate professor of horticulture. And they are on board and they are helping to develop the syllabi and curricula and so forth for the program. So they are assisting along with other persons to develop and launch and move the School of Agriculture. And we have Dr. Usman Adamu as the captain of the School of Agriculture. And like I told him once he came, I am committed to make sure he succeeds, because I do not want to see it go dormant again.
Well, we want to thank you so much, Mr. Dale Morton, for joining us and continuing to do what you do for the community, for UVI, for everything, because you're everything in one. So we appreciate you.
Thank you.
We appreciate you so much for joining us, and we can't wait for you to come back with us again. And you guys have his information in order to get in contact with him. But if you don't have it, we do also have our blog and our CES website. So we are slowly transitioning to get into the SOA for everybody to get accustomed to hearing School of Agriculture. So it's not CES, it's School of Agriculture. But for right now, you can visit the CES website on the uvi.edu page. The link is right there. And also our blogs, ces.uvi.edu and UVISOA@blogspot.com.
Yeah.
And then you also mentioned the other things that's happening with the pesticide and the other trainings that we have here. So all of that information is on our blog.
Yes, yes. So go ahead and visit it. Like Leandra said, UVISOA.blogspot.com is the blog, and the CES website. We're going to repeat that one more time for you, ces.uvi.edu. So we want to thank Mr. Dale Morton, who is our everything person here at Cooperative Extension Service, and also additionally taking on the role as the School of Agriculture recruiter, for joining us. And he will be back, don't worry, because there's a whole lot more to share, but we're just giving you little pieces as we make the transition brand-wise entirely to the School of Agriculture, which contains the Agriculture Experiment Station, the Cooperative Extension Service, and what Mr. Morton was speaking about today, the academic programs. So all of us, one family, and it's always been in one way or the other. So we're just reforming again and strengthening to come back out. So we will check in with you all again and give you all another update next week, Wednesday at 3, right here on the University of the Virgin Islands School of Agriculture's weekly updates. So follow us on all the social media at UVISOA. And
Hey,
we'll talk to you soon.
One more thing. I
What you
think
got?
someone in the comment asked if we had a YouTube link that for people that don't have a Facebook. We have YouTube.
Yes, you can look up. Yeah, you can
everything
look up
on the blog.
exactly. So everywhere you go, just look for UVI School of Agriculture. But if you go onto our blog also, everything is there. So even the recording to this video right now that's being formed, it's going to end up on YouTube. All the others are already there. And if you want access to everything that we've already done so far on the weekly updates, that's where we send you to the blog, UVISOA.blogspot.com. And you'll see one for each week. The YouTube video will be featured right at the top, so you can just press play and watch. For the visually impaired, there's also a link to just the audio recording. So everything is there in the blog. Yep. So thank you, Leandra, for catching that in the Facebook comments before we go out. And Dale, thank you so much again for joining us. We appreciate your time and all that you do.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay.
See you next week.
See you next week.